Throwaway is one of the people involved in this story is a Redditor. I had been married to my ex for 4 years. We were together for 2 before that. I was 18 when we met. He was 19. He had been in a few long-term relationships, as had I, but nothing this serious. Teenagers, obs. We moved in together only after we were married, and were both virgins. For the first few years, life was good. We had good friends, fought about the normal, just moved in with another human stuff, but generally got along. We didn't have screaming matches. Nobody ever slept on the couch. We did things together, and we had fun. Arguments were generally rational. I loved his family. Mine was a revolving door of shit shows. But we were on the same page about that stuff, and he had my back. He was a quiet, nerd type. Smart, getting a PhD in chemistry. Liked his video games and was a bit of an introvert. I am a little more outgoing and less nerdy, but I still liked gaming and whatnot. We shared a lot of the same interest in books and board games and would do some outdoor activities together. The big issue in our relationship, the one we kept coming back to, was the cleanliness of our house and adult responsibilities. I'll be honest, I was the one who had the issues with it. It bothered me a lot that he would forget to do things, that he wouldn't clean up after himself, and that our house was a mess a lot. The sex was okay mostly. He was a 2x divided by weak vanilla kind of guy. But he indulged me when I wanted to do some more adventurous things and was generally attentive to what I needed. He rarely initiated though, which was a bummer for me. This was in pretty big contrast to our dating years where I basically had to make him sit on his hands to keep them out of my pants. Nice Christian couples don't have sex before marriage. You see, after we got married that changed quite a bit though. I missed him being that attracted to me. Last year I started graduate school and a new job simultaneously after 2 years of finishing my undergrad and working part-time. That meant that instead of working 20 hours a week and taking 2 last uni courses, I was working 40 hours per week at my job, which is a career technical type job, not assistant junior manager at Petco or something, and also studying in my field, getting a PhD. We had talked about this extensively beforehand. I told him that I was going to need a lot of help around the house and with support in general. And he told me he would have my back. For the first couple of semesters, things were okay. I was out of the house 50 minutes, 60 hours some weeks, and I worked a month of nights, which was pretty tough. We got through it though. He started cooking a few nights a week and would do some of the prep work for when we had people over at our house, like tidying and vacuuming, Bible study each week. Then this summer things became different. I was in one of the most intense semesters with my program, which meant that I was out of the house 60 minutes, 70 hours some weeks. I was extremely stressed out most of the time. I sat him down a few weeks and talked to him about it. I was completely exhausted. I couldn't continue to fight with him about things like doing the dishes or cleaning up after himself. I was so tired, and I just couldn't do it anymore. He said he understood and that he would try to do more to help. However, he didn't. Another big issue in our marriage is that he was an introvert, and I was not. I was completely okay with his introversion. I totally get it. Some people just can't be around others 24/7 and need alone time to recharge. However, to him, being an introvert meant that he would get home from work around 5-6 p.m., emerge from his office, only eat dinner for a half hour, then go back until 11-12 p.m. when he would crash and fall asleep. While in his office for 5 minutes, 7 hours per night, he was either playing video games, on Reddit, internet, or watching video games on YouTube. He did this most days. Generally during this time I would binge watch some Netflix show if I was home, or fall asleep around 10. As many days I had to get up at 5:30 or 6. This summer, though, that changed. I met people who spent a lot of time together doing things like playing volleyball, watching movies, just generally hanging out. We were both friends with this group, but since he was introverted, he didn't want to hang out as much. I would go hang out after work, be home at 10 minutes 11, and be up on time the next day. For the first time in a long time, I started to feel great about things. I felt better about myself, better about my stress. Things were coming together. I recharged from spending time with others, and I just wasn't getting that at home. My friends actually wanted me around, called me to hang out a lot, and told me how awesome I was and that they were glad we were friends. I hadn't had friends like that since I was in high school. I missed it a lot. I ended up having an emotional affair with one of the people in that group. We went to counseling about it. During counseling, I realized that I had been unhappy and felt neglected for a really long time. I told my ex this, and he told me that one of the reasons he hadn't been spending time with me is that he didn't find me interesting anymore. This completely devastated me. It's the thing I'm very sensitive about, and he knows this. I can't be around people who are just tolerating me. It hurts too much. He wasn't sorry about saying what he did, only sorry that it hurt my feelings. He still felt that way, but told me he wanted to try to fix it. But at this point I felt so broken, like I was in an enormous pressure cooker and was just waiting to explode. So I left. I ran away. I am usually the strong one, the person who can do anything. I'm tough and I've had to deal with some shit in my life. But I am ashamed to say that I ran away from this. I couldn't handle it. I stayed with some of my friends. During that time, I ended up fooling around with one of my closest guy friends, who told me very out of the blue he had always been an awesome friend to everyone in the group, that he had feelings for me. But I ended up going back to my husband within 2 weeks. It didn't last long though. I didn't tell him about what happened when I was gone, because I knew that if I told him, he would be devastated and want a divorce, and our relationships. One peanut gallery, please chime in here. Lawyer up. Delete Facebook. Jim, drop that girl like she's on fire. I really wanted to work on things, and he did too. The problem was that we kept fighting and kept fighting. I couldn't be completely honest with him, and it was eating me up inside. He kept wanting me to be back to normal in a week, and I couldn't do it. The pressure cooker kept being turned up. He told me that what I had done running away, etc., was wrong. The thing was, I knew it was wrong. I knew it, and I couldn't change it. The last straw for him came when I stopped wanting him to touch me. One night I sat on the other couch while we were watching TV instead of sitting next to him. He flipped out, told me that it was awful that I didn't want to touch him and that I needed help. I needed to talk to our pastor. I needed to talk to my friends, to listen to someone. The problem was, once again, I knew all the things I was doing were wrong, but I didn't know how to change them. I just knew that him being next to me made my skin crawl. I thought maybe it had something to do with the fact that I was not being honest with him. So after a few days of more arguments about how I was a terrible wife, I told him. He, predictably, flipped out and told me to leave. So I did. I had cheated twice. He was right. I needed to leave. So I packed a bag and some other things and left. The minute I stepped out the door, I realized that I had wanted to end it for a long time. I had felt stuck and trapped. But nice Christian girls like me don't get divorced. Not unless their husband has cheated on them or is hitting them or something. They don't get divorced if they realize that their husband and them were less compatible than they thought, or they just can't take it anymore. And if they do get divorced for non-approved reasons, they are doomed to be miserable for the rest of their lives. Yes, I cheated on him twice. I have also left my church. A lot of the things that I grew up believing about my faith were no longer seeming true to me. I don't really know what I believe anymore. It's been a few months and I am so happy. I have my sad days where I am hit with what I did to my ex, and I think that I deserve much worse than what I'm going through right now. I deserve to have no one love me, to lose all my friends, to be lonely and punished for the things I did and for running away from something that was hard. But what I do feel is a giant weight that has been lifted off my shoulders. Seriously, it feels like I had been carrying around a 100-pound sack of flour on my shoulders for 6 months and now it's gone. Just poof. And now my ex gets to claim no responsibility for the end of our marriage. He tried his best, but I cheated on him twice and no self-respecting man would let that continue, which ironically is one of the first times he's shown a backbone in our marriage. And I'm not really sure where to go from here. My school is working with me, so I'm still set to graduate on time. My social life has taken quite a hit, but that doesn't bother me so much. I'm living in a great house with 2 other couples and a few dogs, and that's going really well. I feel a lot better about my life, but I'm not sure I have a right to. I feel like with what I've done to my ex, I should be sad all the time or more depressed. But I'm not. Things are better.